Okay, today we're going to start having a look at the Microsoft Office Visio series that we're going to do. We're going to start off with the basics, talking a little bit about Visio. And the strange thing about Visio is most people don't know it exists, and those who do know it exists use it for doing things like flowcharts and organisation charts, but actually it's really versatile. Just to give you a bit of a background, it was initially designed as a CAD program, so computer-aided design, for doing circuit boards. And so effectively you've got loads of different component parts which had to be joined together with connecting wires, and then the component parts would be moved around to make the circuit board as small as possible, or fit a certain shape. And the idea was that the connecting wires would stay connected. Now that's what makes it so good for doing things like flowcharts and organisation charts, is exactly that. The connectors that are made will stay connected, and they can stay connected to the specific point that they were connected to, or just stay connected to the shape or component. So there's a quick background to what Visio was, and it wasn't originally designed by Microsoft. It was developed by another company, and it was then bought by Microsoft and officeized, for want of a better word. So that means the buttons were made to look like Office, and it was made to fit in with the rest of the suite. Having said that, Microsoft didn't do any development on it for a few years, or didn't appear to, and then just recently they've done a huge amount of work on it. It was one of the programs that didn't have ribbons in 2007, it got them in 2010, but now with 2013 coming out, Microsoft are trying to integrate it with Project as a really good way of showing visually output from Microsoft Project. So there's a little history lesson on Visio, but you already know why you want it, you already know what you want to use it for, so let's dive in and see how it works. So this is the screen that comes up when you open Visio, and I'm looking at 2013 now. Now I can choose to open other drawings if I've already got a drawing that I've created in Visio, or I could start from scratch. So I could use any of these templates down here, or I can go into categories and see them arranged in different types of templates. Now actually the category view is probably the better one to go to, but also you can search online and get more templates from online. So let's just dive straight in, and let's have a simple one. Let's go into the business category, and in the business category you then see a variety again of different types of template that we could use. So let's just scroll down. There we go, we've got a TQM diagram. Let's just open this one up here, TQM. And what you'll see is that the screen is now sorted out. On the left hand side we have what used to be called a task pane, and this is now full of stencils, and these are subdivided into groups of stencils, and these are expandable menus. Whenever I click on one, it shows all of what's in that group below. This works slightly differently in 2013 to how it did in previous versions, in that what used to happen is if I click there, for example, on quick shapes, it would expand out like a concertina, and arrow shapes and TQM diagram shapes would jump down to the bottom. That was slightly confusing. So now the sets of shapes that you have selected are at the top there, and when you click on them, the shapes themselves are shown below, and this is a scrollable region if you need to go further down. So quick shapes, that's what you'd probably use more than anything else. But if you want more shapes, more stencils, you can click on here, and then you can say, oh, I actually want some flowchart, and let's look at basic flowchart shapes. And that's now added to the list here, and when I click on that, I have the basic flowchart shapes. Okay. As I say, the Office Visio now has the ribbons the same as Project, the same as the rest of Office Suite, and they are on categories. So when you click on the different categories, you get ribbons, and it also has context-specific ribbons that will appear when you click on certain things, just to do actions to that thing you've clicked on. It also has the file menu, or as Microsoft like to say, the backstage view, and you get that by clicking on the File menu, which they've conveniently recalled the File menu, unlike in 2007 and 2010 where they just had the big button there. They didn't call it File for some weird reason. Okay, the way we use the stencils is we actually click and drag. So we just drag a stencil onto the diagram and it puts the shape there. So I can drag a variety of different stencils on, and you'll notice it just puts the shapes on there. Now I've just zoomed in, and a convenient way of zooming is to use Control and the scroll wheel on your mouse, and that zooms you in nicely. So here we have 3 shapes. Now actually, to put some text into a shape, I can just click on the shape and start typing, and that will actually put the text within the shape. I can of course double click in that and use the standard Office tools for editing the font or changing the colour of the font. Yeah. I click in another shape, step 1. You'll notice here the quick text editing. Yeah. Now this would be a decision point. Now there's no point having a decision point without something for it to go to for a yes and something to go for a no. So the no is going to go back to this and the yes is going to go to a finish. So I could have that shape there as my finish, and in fact I should have that as my start as well. So I'll delete that one and drag one of them in as a start shape. Now an interesting thing to note is when I'm dragging these shapes, I'm getting my guides that tell me, so that's telling me it's directly lined up with the one above, but you'll notice when I go higher I get a vertical arrow as well telling me it's not only lined up with the one below, but it's also equidistant to that one there. Now this one here, if I do the same there, now it's equidistant with all of the others. Now that's a really useful quick way of lining up shapes. So let's just go through this, and the next thing to do is to add some connectors. So rather than being in the pointer tool, I go to the connector tool. Now there's 2 ways we can do this, and I'm going to show you both ways, and I'll show you the difference between the 2. When I hover over the shape, the whole of the shape is lit up. When I hover over a connection point, just the connection point is lit up. So let me show you what happens with that first of all. So I'm going to click and drag from a connection point to a connection point. Same again with this one, same again with this one. And my no answer, I'm going to go from that connection point back to that one. Yeah. Okay. Now to get out of this tool, it's really annoying, because actually what you have to do is you have to choose the pointer tool again. Yeah. Now the interesting thing about that is, now if I move the shapes around, because I told that point to connect to this one, that's where the connector stays connected to. The alternative is to connect the shapes together, not the points. So if I go back into my connector tool and now I hover over the whole shape and drag it down to the whole shape. Now that just is telling it to be connected to whatever point is convenient to connect to. Now when I drag it down to the side here, you'll see how that is the most convenient connection point. So that's the one it chooses. Okay, when you've got stuff lined up, it doesn't seem like an issue, and it doesn't seem to be a difference between the 2 types, and it's very easy to make choose one rather than the other. But when you actually start moving shapes around, or components, then it does start to make a difference. Now clearly if you're doing electrical components, you would want it connected to a connection point, which will be a wire, rather than just to the shape itself and letting it choose which wire it connected. Okay, that's the first of the series on Visio that we're going to do. Just watch this space for more videos. I'm the Adobe Guy, and thank you for watching.